The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Career in Biotech Industry webinar presented by Dr. Anna Hickison from Keck Graduate Institute. My name is Kat Wang from the admissions team. And today we are very honored to have Dr. Hickison to share her insight and how MBS program at KGI can prepare you to launch your career in biotech industry if you're interested. And Dr. Anna Hickison is now a director of our Master of Business and Science program director. And she graduated Caltech with a PhD in bioengineering, and she also taught at Harvard College. Welcome, Dr. Hickison.
Thank you. Thanks. And welcome, everybody. So this is my my presentation on all the wonderful careers in the biotech industry. So, and of course, how the MBS program can prepare you for that. Oops. Just click. There we go. So just to start off, we use the term biotech industry, but at KGI, it's the School of Applied Life Sciences, which includes a broad set of health-related fields. So the life sciences industry includes pharmaceuticals, biologics, medical devices, and diagnostics. And I'm going to just go over those some more. So when we say pharmaceuticals, that's most people have taken some kind of medication in their life. It's they tend to be small molecules, something like Tylenol pictured here, and it treats the patient through chemical processes. Biopharmaceutical drugs, which a lot of people say biologics for short, are also drugs to treat patients, but they are derived from living cells and living organisms. So, and there's different varieties. Some of them are derived from microbial cells. Some of them are derived from mammalian cells. And there's even methods where they produce medicines inside living animals or plants, and then extract that later. Medical devices, this is personally my favorite field. I worked in medical devices before becoming the director of this program. That includes things like in vitro diagnostics. So if you've ever had any kind of sample taken at a doctor's office, a urine sample, a blood sample, and it gets sent to a lab, the instruments and the techniques they use to get information from that is called in vitro diagnostics. Other categories of medical devices, a lot of cardiovascular devices, pacemakers, artificial hearts, stents and grafts. Neuromodulation is definitely a growing field where they can stimulate nerves to treat diseases, and any kind of patient monitoring. So again, if you're at the doctor's office or at home and you check your blood pressure, you check your temperature, your heart rate, all of those things are medical devices. Okay, so what about careers to make all those things? Where does all that technology come from? So in the process of developing a product, whether it's a drug or a biologic or a pharmaceutical, it'll differ, the process will differ somewhat, but you need to start by identifying a need, something that you're gonna solve and fix. It goes through a research and development process. And because these are regulated products that we need to make sure are safe and effective, there'll be different regulatory processes that depend on the country and the type of product. And finally, there's the operating the business. So production and sales, you need to keep it going. You need to actually deliver it to people. So there's a lot of different roles in the industry. So at the early stages, you have to do market research. What is that need? Who are you developing this for? So business development, how are you going to operate your business? How are you going to finance it? Marketing. So it's kind of a fun thing to see market research at the start and marketing at the end. So it's figuring out who you're going to sell it to, and then at the end, actually getting that done and selling it. In the R&D phases, this is where a little bit more of the sciencey stuff happens. So there's the discovery. Again, depending on what the product is, you're going to do some engineering and design work. And then putting all those pieces together, there's project management. Someone has to understand what everybody is doing and getting it from one place to the next. Once you're in production, you have to manufacture it. And there's something called operations, which is related to manufacturing, but it's also about the supply chain, how you get the parts, what is the most effective and efficient way to make those products. For people who are a little bit more interested in the clinical side of things, anytime you develop one of these types of products, you need to do a clinical study to make sure it works, make sure it's safe. And then the regulatory affairs portion is how do you give that information to the regulatory body. So in the United States, that would be the FDA, and there are other regulatory bodies in different countries. Other roles include medical science liaison. When you have a product, you have to convince doctors and show them that your product exists, that it works, that they should consider using it. And along the way, again, in the regulatory realm, making sure that once you're making the product, so you have a good, safe product that's effective. Now you got to make sure that every time you make it, it's the same and it's just as good. And so that's the quality control in the process. So these are a lot of different sort of functional areas within the industry that people participate in and that we prepare people for. So here's sort of zooming into some example positions. I purposefully picked out ones that are a little less commonly known just to describe what those roles do. So project management, that a person who's a project manager will plan resources, including people, equipment, budgeting, the schedule. Again, this is the puzzle piece person who makes sure everything gets from one place to the next, and they tend to have several people report to them, and then that person will report to a program manager, which is a more broad overhead view of what's going on in a company. Marketing managers will create marketing plans. So again, identifying who their clients are, how do you convey that information, and supporting everyone along the way from defining what the ideal product is all the way to helping launch it so that people actually buy the product. Portfolio management, I picked a lot of management. So portfolio management is when is more on the business end. So it's somebody who they still have to have a lot of technical expertise to understand all the projects and programs that are going on in their company. But their job is to assess the value. So while there might be a lot of great ideas within a company, you can't always fund all of them. And so a portfolio manager helps decide what projects to keep, what projects to start, whether they should acquire another company, and things of that nature. The clinical quality regulatory people do all the stuff related to making sure a product is safe and effective. So this includes performing clinical trials, so actually taking data on how the device or drug or biologic performs, preparing the reports to submit to the FDA or other regulatory body, to supervise all the manufacturing and suppliers to make sure that the quality remains where it should be. So those are all the kinds of jobs. And then how big is this industry? So I'm going to use just California as an example. There's a lot of life science going on in California, and that's where we're located. And this comes from a life science industry report. So there are over 3,000 life science companies in California alone, and there are nearly 300,000 direct employment jobs in California for that. And actually, if you include attached industries that support that, it goes up much higher. There's a 7% job growth rate over the last few years, and the average salary of those employees is $116,000 a year, which is quite a lot. So how do we get you there? KGI we have two schools. We have a School of Applied Life Science where the MBS is located, and we have a School of Pharmacy. So within the School of Applied Life Science, we have multiple programs. We have the Master of Business and Science, which I'll talk about in a moment. a PPC program for students who want to go on to medical school. We have a Master's of Engineering in Biopharmaceutical Engineering, so this is more technical per se than the MBS, which also has bioprocessing major or concentration in it, and a PPM degree as well. All right, so KGI is a professional school. The MBS is a professional program. So what do we mean by that? Because there are a lot of master's programs out there. So professional degrees are focused on providing skill sets to develop leadership-oriented careers in the industry. So while there are multiple paths to do research, some are academic tracks. In this program, the emphasis is not on research. While it is available to do some independent studies and independent research, the main focus there is to get students to have the skills that they can go into industry and very quickly launch their careers to management and upper level roles. So some of the goals we focus on are critical thinking and analysis. We do a lot of professional development and networking events to get people ready for not just their interviews, but their careers as a whole. And then we recently did a alumni survey to ask our former students what did they do after they graduated. So we want to make sure that we are in fact preparing them the way we say we are, and they were allowed to respond more than once. So you'll see that it doesn't add up to 100% because multiple choices were available. So a very large fraction, over 60% of our students end up in some kind of consulting role when they first start, and also a very large number end up in project management from the get-go. Some other ones, business development, regulatory, R&D, supply chain. So a lot of these will be consulting in bioprocessing or consulting in regulatory, where this is where that overlap happens. We also asked our students, how did they get that first job? Did they get it through the KGI network? So the ones in blue are all KGI network types of ways that students got jobs. So there's we have a required summer internship. So if they do the internship, then they go on and continue to work through to that same company. Career services, our networking events, through our alumni network. Our faculty will help reach out and help people get positions. Our Team Masters project, which I'll talk about more. And then there are the more traditional methods of getting a job. So responding to a job announcement or some other kind of networking event. And overall, over 70% of our students find their first job through a KGI connection. And finally, we asked them about their salaries. So in the tan or brown gray color is student starting salaries by year. So you'll notice that the dates go backwards, and the reason is that on the left is 1 year out, 2 years out, and so forth. So our most recent graduating class started in the $70,000 range, but even within that year, they got a raise. And if we go 3 years out, you can see that the starting salary for our graduates hovers around that same amount. But as you go years out, their current salaries have gone up dramatically over the years. So while they may have started around 70 to 80K, they within 3 years are now up to 120K per year. And the average salary of our alumni with just 3 or more years of experience is $150,000 a year. What is the curriculum? What do we actually teach to get you those skills? This is a program. It's supposed to complement a science or engineering foundation. We have a lot of students that come from biology backgrounds. You may have had biology, biochemistry, chemistry, maybe physics. We have people who have had physiology or psychology backgrounds. And then also people with some engineering backgrounds, maybe not as strong in the biological sciences, computer science, chemical engineering, electrical, mechanical, and so forth. what we do at KGI is use those foundational skills and apply them to the actual science that is used in the industry. And then we add industry relevant information about FDA regulations, market needs, business strategy, a lot of this course material that you would get in an MBA program. How do you perform and plan a clinical trial? How do you communicate to all the different types of people and roles that you'll run into in this field? So our program has 7 learning outcomes. These are the essentials, I guess, of what it is that we want to teach. So we want you to understand the business functions within the industry, understand how the basic science is translated into real products, manipulate, analyze, and draw conclusions from broad sets of data. So we live in a very data-rich time, and so how do you take all that information and analyze it into something useful? So those are very subject specific. We also do professional development, being able to communicate effectively, a lot of teamwork. Almost every single class will have some kind of team project, how to be a leader, and also how to be a follower in a team. And then, of course, adhering to ethical principles. So ethics is a required course in our program, and it's essential and something that's relating to people's health. So our program starts with, in the first year, we have a core technical and business curriculum. Most of this year is required courses with very little selection. So, like I said, there are 3 main industries: bioprocessing, medical devices and diagnostics, pharmaceuticals. All of these are kind of broad industries within the life sciences. And then there's different functional type of roles. So whether it's the science and engineering behind it, the business behind it, or the regulatory part of it, they all intersect. And so in our first year, we leverage that investment that you have in your science and industry engineering courses and turn it into more industry relevant skills. So some representative courses that are in the first year, this isn't an exhaustive list, but some of them include molecular biotechnology, bioprocessing, med devices, FDA law, strategy, finance, ethics. Like I said, all of these pieces are necessary. So in that first year, the curriculum is very broad, and more in the second year, you get to focus on a particular concentration. So between our first and second year, students complete a paid summer internship, and that experience is essential. People always come back with a much better understanding of what it is that they want to do with their careers. So here's some examples of internships from a couple summers ago. You'll see a lot of different types of companies. Again, some devices, some biologics, some pharmaceuticals. We even had a food product. That internship needs to be in the life science area, and it can be any kind of role. And there's some very interesting ones here about clinical research, some in business operations, some in regulatory. And then in the third year, there's 2 pieces. There's the elective courses. So this is where you finally get to focus on a specific domain within the industry. And we have 5 concentrations, and each of them are a subset of the classes that are required for the program at large. So we have a concentration in biotech management, and so this would be the most MBA-like, I would say, in the sense that it has business operations, organizational behavior, marketing management. Those are required, and people who complete that concentration look for opportunities in market research, being an analyst, doing some strategic planning in the company. We have a concentration in bioprocessing. This is going to be more lab and science focused in the required classes, and the students that graduate from that program will often go into the development of biologics or the operations of that of those companies. Clinical and regulatory affairs is, as the name suggests, a lot about understanding how clinical trials are done. You need to understand statistics to make sure that those trials are meaningful, and then communicating with the FDA. So career opportunities in there include working on clinical trials, submitting with the FDA, and some students actually want to work at the FDA. Medical devices and diagnostics is a field for, I would say, more the engineering types. It includes developing assays, developing devices, how those things go, how those things are made, and career opportunities, again, tend to be more on the science side for this one. So assay development, so if someone has a more biological background and they want to create diagnostic assays, if they have a more engineering background, they might want to work on the design of devices. But there's also a lot of the project management roles and operations and manufacturing related to that concentration. And then last but not least, our pharmaceutical discovery and development. This tends to be on the upstream, meaning the early discovery portion of how is a new drug discovered at all, and how do you bring that to market to then treat people. And so career opportunities in there include being a research scientist, a medical writer, developing protocols, and so forth. And then our fourth part of our pyramid is the Team Masters project. So during the second year, we have a year-long capstone experience. This is really an essential part of our program, where these projects are brought to us or recruited by us from the industry. They pay money to have students work on a project in teams of 3 to 5. And those students will have a faculty advisor and an industry liaison that they have weekly contact with. The students, though, have the opportunity to deliver that project. They plan it, they budget it, and deliver it, so they really get a lot more upper level type of experience during that project than they might get from just starting at a company fresh. These are some companies that have sponsored projects in this past. This happens to be the sponsorship from the 2015-16 year. We have a lot of companies come back. Many companies will do more than one project per year. And so the sample topics, the topics that these projects cover can vary quite a bit. Just similar to our curriculum, you'll find some projects are more engineering, some projects are more business, bioprocessing, regulatory, and these are just a few examples. So I will let you look at the slide on your own time. And then finally, not to be forgotten, is we do a lot of work on professional development. Again, we want our students to go out into the industry and become leaders and become people that are respected. And so we do a lot of work on public speaking and presentations in every class, a lot of working in teams. No project in the industry is done by one person alone. So learning how to coordinate and work with people is essential. Job placement skills and networking. Our career services holds events all the time. Resume help, interview help, online presence help. We have industry people come in and give feedback on how they're being perceived in a mock interview, for example. So all of those things come together to make sure that our students can be effective at their careers. And that's everything. So I want to thank you. If you have any questions, you can type them in the bottom in the chat. If not, if you want to save those questions, or if you come up with questions for later, you can email admissions@kgi.edu and they can respond to you or direct you to a person that can give you more information.
Alrighty. Thank you, Dr. Anna Hickerson.
Thanks.
Thank you.